Hi, everyone. My name is Janik Goryeb, and I'm the Senior Health Education and Engagement Specialist of Brain Tumour Foundation of Canada. And I have the lovely Jamie Bradstreet here with me today. Jamie's going to give us his personal story of hope presentation and talk about his experiences. For Jamie, life with a brain tumor is full of highs and lows, but he says the important thing is to carry on, keep a sense of humor, and ask for help when you need it. Diagnosed in 2012 at the age of 27 with a pineal tumor. Since then, Jamie has had 4 surgeries along with 6 weeks of radiation and now chemotherapy. Jamie wants to share his story to let others affected by brain tumors know that Brain Tumour Foundation of Canada is available to support them. Jamie will also share why he has chosen to make a gift in his will for Brain Tumour Foundation of Canada. Jamie, tell the people where you're calling in from.
Hi, Janique. I'm
Hey.
calling in from the wonderful metropolis of Peterborough, Ontario.
Woohoo! Yay, Peterborough. Peterborough in the house. Thanks for joining us
Yep.
today, Jamie. I really appreciate it and
Oh, no
appreciate you.
problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And happy to have you with us here just to share your experiences with us. So tell us a little bit about you, your family, your hobbies, your passions, kind of all that currently, as well as leading up to your diagnosis as well.
Sure. As you can tell from the picture on the first slide, I love animals. That is my dog, Buddy. Don't hold his name against me. It wasn't my choice. He's a rescue, a high kill shelter. And not from that view, but from a different view, you could tell that he looks like an Oreo cookie. So I wanted to name him Mr. Christie. But I love animals. Dogs are my favorite. I'm into sports. I love the 4 major sports. Don't really care for collegiate or Olympics or anything like that. Passions, people, animals, cars. Yeah, and my family. I'm the youngest of 2 kids. I have an older sister who is a elementary school teacher. Both mom and dad are retired. Dad's no longer with us, but mom is retired. And I have a niece and nephew, and who I love very much. And that's about it.
Amazing. Are your niece and nephew in Peterborough as well, Jamie?
No, they're about 45 minutes away.
Okay, so not too far from you.
Not too far.
That's great. And so talk to us a little bit about the symptoms that you had leading up to your diagnosis and then your diagnosis as well.
Sure. So to give you a little bit of a background, when I was about 22, I was diagnosed with kidney cancer. It was by fluke. And I'm only mentioning that because I know it's got nothing to do with brain tumors, because it's what helped me look into the pains that I was having. So Easter weekend of my 27th year, I got a really bad headache, and I wasn't a headache sufferer to begin with. And it was debilitating. I would take Tylenol wouldn't even touch it. I went into a dark room with a cold rag over my forehead. That didn't help. Didn't eat anything. Said to my mom, something's wrong. This doesn't make any sense. I'm going to the Emerge. And that was during the time that you could actually get into Emerge in a reasonable hour. And went into Emerge. Doctor took CAT scan. Said your ventricles, where your spinal cord fluid flows through, are huge. And I said, yeah, I understand that. My head is huge. And he said, but these are awfully big. So that was the Easter weekend. He said, come back Easter Monday. I'm going to give you an MRI. So went back. By the Thursday, my family doctor had called to say they had found a brain tumor. And my brain tumor was basically sitting right in the middle of my pineal gland, which is the gland that directs your spinal cord fluid from your ventricles into your spinal cord. So it was, my spinal cord fluid was backing up, and I never say this right, so please forgive me, hydrocephalus.
Hydrocephalus,
which was liquid
yep.
Which was liquid on the brain. And she said, you're going to Sunnybrook, because that's where they do brains and hearts at Sunnybrook.
Yeah.
So I went down there. The surgeon she referred me to wouldn't even touch me. Said, "You're going
Right.
across to a surgeon across the hall." And I said, "Okay." And that's what started that.
Right. Okay. And so talk to us a little bit about your treatment plan back then. And then I know you had some treatments recently as well. Talk to us a little bit
Yes.
about what that process was like for you.
So the treatment plan, well, because my head is so large, the doctor at the time didn't appreciate the kind of pressure that was in my head.
Okay.
So he told me initially it was going to be a 3-day stay in the hospital and then I'd go home. I thought 3 days, I can do 3 days of, hospital life and horrible food. And 3 days turned into 3.5 weeks and 3 surgeries because when the doctor cut into my head, there was so much pressure in my head that the spinal cord fluid shot out of my head over his shoulder and hit the operating room wall.
Wow.
And it became too, I know this isn't the right term, but it's the only thing I can think of, too murky to work.
Okay. Sure.
So he had to, I looked like a cyborg. I got all stapled up and they put a tube in my head that would then recycle some of my spinal cord fluid into a bag that was on a gurney rollaway thing. I don't even know what it's called. I'm no doctor.
You're doing great.
And and I was kept on ice for a week. He came back to me after a week and said, "We don't know if it's cancer. We've got to go back in." And I said, "I want to know if it's cancer." So they went back in. But because they cut me in the same place, even after a week, but so close together, my scar wouldn't heal. So I had spinal cord fluid leaking out of my head. It was one of the grossest things I've ever had to experience. And he said, "We've got to go back in a third time," because the second time he tried to drill a hole to have the spinal cord fluid flow through and have my spinal cord absorb it, but it healed itself. So it was starting to back up on my brain again. And when he went back in a third time, it was to install a shunt. So I have a plastic tube that runs from right around here in my head down my neck and empties right below my stomach. And that's where my spinal cord fluid or my body reabsorbs the fluid so that I can still bend over and still have complete flexibility in my spinal cord.
Okay. Okay. And you had some treatment recently as well, correct?
I did. Sorry.
Okay.
So my brain tumor has decided to grow again. After I had radiation 8 years ago, stopped its growth cold, and just went for my yearly checkup, and then it started to grow again. So they sent me for what is called gamma knife radiation, which is a more direct penetrating radiation onto the tumor. And they did that process in hopes of slowing it down. Now it has slowed it down, but hasn't stopped it. So I'm actually going back next month to see what they want to do with me next.
Okay. And I will mention to everybody watching this that not all centers do have gamma knife radiation as an option.
Yes.
There's about a half a dozen gamma knife machines across the country. And it always perplexed me why the word knife is in there, because it's not actually surgery, it is a radiation. But yes, you're right, Jamie, it is very targeted, right? It really targets.
Yeah, and that's why they call, that's what was explained to me of why they call it gamma knife, because it's so targeted. It's almost like a surgical operation.
Exactly, exactly. And it's very common to use in non-malignant type tumors as well. So, okay. So yeah, you'll keep us posted then for sure as to how your next couple appointments go.
Yes.
And so how have you coped, physically, mentally, emotionally through these years, through these treatments?
I won't lie. I'm no Superman. It has been tough. I've really learned from this experience that and I'm not trying to give anybody less hope or less, I guess, for lack of a better word, again, less hope in their process or dealing with their brain tumor, but your brain is really not meant to be touched. It's such a delicate part of your body that, I have been very depressed. I have had they don't like me calling it an attempt, but it was a suicidal event where I just didn't want to do it anymore. But I recognized the signs and I got help, which was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was able to get help by going to my doctor and saying, look, something's not right. I need some help. And running through a couple of antidepressants, I was able to find the right one that works for me. So, emotionally, it's been a roller coaster between, all these operations and the radiation treatments and, the depression that I get from it. It's tough. The big difference between having cancer at 22 and having the brain tumor at 27 was that I was fortunate that they just took my right kidney and it was done. It was over. I could get on with my life. This is never ending, which is very, very tough.
Yeah. Well, and and we in the community are thankful for your openness and your honesty about your mental health, because I heard another brain tumor survivor once say, I didn't know that my brain tumor diagnosis came with a side of depression. And it's not something that we talk about very often. We're trying to talk about that more, obviously, as a community and as, in the world in general. But you hit the nail on the head, so to speak, when you said, the brain's not supposed to go through that kind of trauma. And you're right. I mean, the brain controls everything that we do, right? So you have to go in for any kind of surgery or treatment. It really does affect you physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the fact that you were diagnosed with a non-malignant tumor, I would want to also mention to our audience, is that just because it's non-malignant doesn't mean it's straightforward necessarily, right? Yes, for some people, they might be diagnosed with a non-malignant tumor, they have surgery, they recover well, they move on with life. But, we know quite a few people who have had long-term effects, right? Long-term challenges from this, even though it's not malignant. And so we want people to know that that's a big reason why we refer to low-grade non-malignant tumors as such, as opposed to benign, because we feel like there's nothing benign about having a mass in your control center, right?
Yes. Well said.
Yeah, and so thank you. And so we're really, grateful to you, Jamie, for being really, really open about your health and about your mental health as well. And so how have you managed your energy levels, so to speak? I know that's probably been tough for you as well.
It has been tough. I deal with them the best I can. I have a dog who is a rescue, as I had mentioned. And being a rescue, he has to go for walks or he will not do his business. So that gets me out of the house. I usually take a couple of hours every day. I hop in my car and I leave the house just to go do whatever, even if it's just to drive or go look around or do something just for a mental break. Because it is tough. It's very, very tough. And anybody that says that it's not, I'd love to know what they do instead, because it's a trying process of the whole thing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And any tips for whether they're friends or family members,
Ooh.
colleagues, healthcare professionals, any tips at all for anybody out there?
Healthcare professionals. Let's start there.
Sure.
I know they're not there to be your friend. They're there to help you and save you and everything else. But I really, truly believe that a little bit of bedside manner goes a long way. I know a lot of healthcare professionals are very smart, brilliant people, and they might not be as bubbly as the next person down the street. I get that. But the one thing I've always noticed going into hospitals is the coldness from especially doctors.
Okay.
I know their job is very tough. They're dealing with a very delicate area of your body. I get that. But a smile here and there, maybe a joke, depending on your audience, of course.
Yeah.
But it's, being the patient is tough enough, knowing that, Am I going to make it? Is this going to be fine? How am I going to deal with this? And I've been fortunate, this has hit me at a young age
Mhm.
that I haven't had a mortgage to worry about, or I haven't had bills to worry about, or at least I've had the health benefits from my job. I can't imagine somebody that works at a retail position or some other kind of position where they might not have the coverage to do this. It's a trying time. So a little bit of kindness, I think, goes a long way for friends or family or colleagues that you work with. If you have a good relationship with them, lean on them, especially colleagues, because as much as you love your friends and family, your colleagues are more of a family to you because you spend more time with them than your actual family
It's
in
true.
most cases.
Yeah.
Lean on them, share what you feel comfortable in sharing. And then, if how do I put this? If there are no financial restraints, talk to a professional,
Mhm.
talk to a psychiatrist, talk to a psychologist, do whatever you need to do to keep living
Yeah. Yeah.
and scrape. Life is tough enough without a brain tumor. I
Yeah.
can't imagine what other people experience that have it.
Sure. Sure.
So, you guys are champions, and I think you just need to be there for the people and support them the best you can.
Thank you for saying that, Jamie. And I'll talk in a minute about the support groups and the different types of supports that we have. Before we do that, you've been very kind to be very open with us as well about leaving a legacy, so to speak, to Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada. Can you talk us a little bit about that and what made
So,
you make that decision?
um, so, and I want people to understand, I'm a single guy. I don't have a great job. It's a very small amount that I want to leave. It's not going to build, a new office tower for the Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada in London, so don't think that, I have a Maserati out the front parked. But I, you know what, it was before I met you, Janique. It was a young lady named Amy Matthias,
Mhm.
who isn't there anymore, but has gone on to another foundation to help younger people that are dealing with issues in cancer. But she made the world difference to me when I didn't know that the Brain Tumor Foundation existed, and I did research and I looked everywhere. And I said to my mom one day when I was cruising around the internet on my iPad, I went, "Oh my gosh, Mom, there's a Brain Tumor Foundation." And Amy listening to me, helping me through it,
Mhm.
wanting to know what was going on in my life has made all the world of difference to me. Knowing that this lady who didn't know me, didn't have to care, I'm just another person, really cared, made the world of difference to me. And I think you guys do such a difference to us brain tumor sufferers, if I could, that I thought it was a must, that something should be left. And I don't want my name on it. I don't care about that. I just want you guys to continue to do the great work that the foundation is doing, can do, will do in the future. That it was a no-brainer to me to leave something.
Thank you. Thank you. And every bit counts, right? And
Every bit counts.
every bit counts. And we are
And
very
and actually,
grateful.
can I
Go
say
ahead.
one more thing? If I can take my small pittance and give it to you guys and make somebody's life easier in the future, I think that's a must.
Mhm. Mhm.
Or donate to help somebody that might have gotten paralysis or have to be in a wheelchair or needs to talk to somebody but can't afford it. That's a must. I think if we help each other more, I think the world, not to sound cheesy or corny, would be a better place.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jamie, and thank you for your generosity.
Yeah.
Your generosity in sharing your story, your generosity of leaving a legacy for Brain Tumor Foundation of Canada and our community. And I'm giving you a huge hug,
Oh, thank
huge
you.
virtual hug. But yeah, you mentioned support, right? And encouraging people to reach out for support. And so I'll just highlight this right now for everybody. We have a brand new app that is free to download. And we have now on the app, not only access to our handbooks and other information about different programs, we have our peer-to-peer support program. And this is an opportunity to provide customizable support to anyone who has been impacted by a brain tumor diagnosis, whether you're a survivor, a caregiver, a family member, or a friend. You have the capability to access a friendly, knowledgeable member of our peer support team and to be connected to support within 1 business day of your request. So it is through text, is the peer-to-peer support, but we also have our virtual support groups, and these happen all across the country. And we have different time zones, of course, across the country. So we do accommodate that. And if you want any more information about either one of those programs, you can contact our colleague Hugh Hill, who is one of our social workers on staff. And as we wrap up, Jamie, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Gosh, that caught me off guard with that question. I think your final screen here just says it. Thank you. Thank you for caring. Thank you for doing what you do, Janique. Thank you to the Brain Tumor Foundation for doing what they do. I think this is such a battle that you go through physically, emotionally, and it's hard to live a normal life or a normal life.
Yeah.
So just thank you.
Well, thank you, Jamie, for taking time out of your schedule to join us today. And we'll chat soon.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks,
Bye,
buddy.
everyone.
Bye, everyone. Take care.